Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining this video. My name is Sanya Sinha. I am a student of Birla Institute of Technology, Mesra. I am a first year student. So before I start illustrating on this video that is basically going to deal with what is HTML, that is the first module on a web development series that we as members of the technical club are going to be launching on a channel dedicated completely to the cause of creating top quality video content for students at not only our institution but in all the other institutions all around the world who have some problems or some difficulties in grasping soft skills easily. So these modules are going to be custom tailored just for them so that they have ease in understanding all the subjects, all the in-demand skills, for instance, web development, competitive programming, cryptography, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so many other skills. So until then, stay tuned and keep on watching. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. So the images, GIFs, and videos used are not mine, and I don't take credit for the same. Please remember that. So what is HTML? This is going to be the topic of our first module that is going to be dealing with what exactly is HTML, what does it do, and how do we set up an environment on our computer system to write code in HTML. This is what the first module or this module is going to deal with. So all of us around the world are very familiar with the term known as the internet. But not many of us know what it actually is. You want to shop, you go onto the internet. You want to learn something new, you go onto the internet. But what exactly is the internet? Well, here's an answer to your question. Internet is nothing but an interconnected network of various other networks. Many of us get internet confused with another very widely used term known as the web. So many of us don't really know, is there actually a difference between the internet or the web? Is the internet and the web the same thing? The answer to this is a big no. So in order to illustrate this, we have a small example. Let's just say that you have an important parcel you have to deliver to your friend named John. So your friend John lives in a small town known as Mellow. And his address in this town, Mellow, is, let's just say, 21C. You don't live in this particular town, but it's really urgent that you go and deliver that important parcel to your friend John. So what will you do? You'll take out your really cool race car and you will drive all the way to Mellow. All right, and you drive all the way to Mellow and you will deliver that important package to John once you locate his address 21C in this town called Mellow, right? So the road network that you use to drive all the way from your town to your friend John's town called Mellow is a very large network of smaller individual interconnected network of roads, right? This road pattern not only connects your town to Mellow but also connects different cities, towns, and states with each other. So this road network is just like your internet. Now, not only is this example going to illustrate this, all the other components present in this town called Mellow, for instance, the clouds, the trees, the flowers, and the houses constitute something known as the web or the World Wide Web, right? So just like in order to locate your friend's house in a particular street or in a particular town, you need his address. Similarly, in order to locate various web components like websites and web pages on the web, you need to have particular addresses corresponding to the web component you're looking for. For instance, if I'm looking for Facebook on the World Wide Web, I am going to type www.facebook.com, right? Now, these particular addresses of the various web components have a particular name and they're not just called addresses. This name is Actually, Uniform Resource Locators, or URLs as they are predominantly called. So now we have learned enough about what the internet is and what the web is and what are URLs, but now we need to learn about how to construct the web components, how to construct web pages and websites, right? So in all the video series on the video series that will follow, I will teach you how to create your website as well as how to host it using the three various pillars of web development. So you have seen me talk a lot about web development, but do you know what actually web development is and what are the pillars of web development? Let us see. So the first part of web development is actually the front-end web development. So many of you would have heard the term front-end web development or back-end web development, full-stack web development, but how many of you actually know what it is? So front-end web development actually deals with the part of the web development that interacts with the user side of things, the user's interaction with the website, how the user communicates with the website, the layout or the design of the website. Is it appealing to the user? Does the user like it? Does the user face some trouble while working on it? And the user's experience or the UX that the user has while working on the website are all integral components of front-end web development. Now, similarly, back-end web development deals with the server side of things. It does not deal with what is up with the user. It deals with the backside or the server side of things that is not visible to your or to the user's eyes. So there are three basic pillars of front-end web development that are used to create websites or web pages. These three are nothing but HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So in this module, we are going to learn what is HTML, what is the importance of HTML, and how to set up an environment for HTML. So, hypertext markup language is the full form of HTML. But what exactly is hypertext and what's markup? And language is something that we use to communicate with each other. What's it doing over here? So let's just say I click on this link like www.google.com, and you will see that I have been redirected to this web page of google.com. So a, a hypertext is nothing but a link or text upon clicking on which you would be redirected to some other website or web page, right? The next important part that we need to deal with in the definition of hypertext markup language is the part that asks us what exactly is markup. So a markup language is not a computer language or not a high level language like C++ or C, but it is a humanly readable computer language that uses specialized words within angular braces called tags. So angular braces are braces that look like these, and within these we have some text. Now this text that is enclosed within the braces actually has a fixed cause, and it is going to contribute towards the structure of the web page or to the website. This means that it is used to enhance, not only enhance, but to build the entire structure of the document. Each tag is known to perform specific functions. For instance, for instance, if I use a tag known as HTML. Now this tag is used to tell the computer, is used to tell the web browser that the document that you're supposed to be hosting is an HTML document. So this is what tags do. Different tags have different purposes. For instance, if you want your text to be aligned towards the center, you can use a center tag. For instance, how are you going to write the center tag? You are going to be enclosing it within angular braces like this, and the text inside this is going to read center. If you want to insert an image, you are going to be enclosing it within these angular braces, and inside it you will be using the tag img. If you want to work on the body of the HTML document, within these angular braces, you're going to be writing body. But we are going to be learning about the structure of the HTML documents in just the next video. So please don't go anywhere and stay tuned. The next most important thing that I wanted to tell you is that earlier for design, until HTML4 was in the market, we used to use tags like bold, So inside these angular braces, we used to write B, that was used to bolden the text, or we could use the word I, the letter I, which was used to italicize the text, or like I said, we used the element center, which was used to align the text or the images towards the center. But these days, with the upcoming trend set by HTML5, we don't usually use these tags because we have cascading style sheets or CSS specifically devoted to the cause of enhancing the appearance of your website. That's why we use HTML just for setting up the layout and for defining where what is going to be. But if you talk about how the website is going to look like, what part do you want to be in bold, what part do you want to italicize, what part do you want to underline, these days we only use CSS for that cause. HTML is responsible to make sure that the website has a structure and it is used to add content. So you can have a website without CSS, although it will not look very appealing. You can have a website without JavaScript, although it would not be very responsive. But you cannot have a website or a web page without HTML, because that is what constitutes the structure. That is what constitutes the entire document. Now, all of us loved to take tiffin boxes to school, right? So if you remember, tiffin boxes have two main components. So they have the main tiffin, the holder that actually contains the food, and then they have the lid that is used to cover the barrel or the container, right? So container tags are just like your tiffin boxes. So just like you need to have a body, just like you need to have a body to hold the food, you also need to have a lid in order to cover the food so that it is not spilled, right? So container tags are those tags which have both opening and closing tags. For instance, like I said, I gave an example of an HTML4 tag that you will not be using, but just let me give you an example. For instance, if I said bold, let me just use the pen. For instance, if I say bold, right? And within this, I write hello. And now I will have to close this bold tag right over here. So you can see that both of these tags are very much identical looking, but the main difference that they have is that the closing tag is also has a forward slash right after the first angular brace, right? So until unless you tell your document that this is where I want the boldening part to end, the document would not realize and it would end up boldening the entire content on your web page. So you need to tell HTML when to stop boldening. For instance, if I use a tag known as paragraph and if I write text, so a paragraph tag is used to align text in a particular paragraph type structure. So until and unless you want to change your paragraph and proceed to the next paragraph, you don't have to close your p tag, right? But if you want to proceed to the next paragraph, you cannot skip lines in your own text editing software and just think that it would automatically be imported to the website that you are going to be making. In order to tell your website that you need to proceed to the next paragraph, you need to close this p tag, and in order to start a new paragraph, you will need to open the p tag again. And then when that paragraph is over, you will have to close the p tag yet again. So if this is a little bit cumbersome for you to understand, don't worry, you just have to wait for this video. In the next videos, I am going to be dealing with everything from scratch. I'm going to be telling you how to work with HTML. So don't worry, stay tuned. Now, empty tags are those tags that don't require a closing tag. For instance, if I use the word hello world followed by br, so br is used to just proceed right to the next line. It's going to break rule. So if you are writing text like this and you decide that you want to go to the next line, so and you don't want to continue writing along this line, so if I use the tag br right over here, you will automatically jump to the next line and start writing text from the initial point over here. All right. So until and unless you want, now you will not have to end this br tag anywhere. Okay, okay, this line is open, now I should end br tag. Don't do that. Br is an empty tag, you don't need to close it. Similarly, if you're writing text and you want a horizontal line to appear right below the text, you can use this attribute called hr. Similarly, if you want to insert an image onto your document, you can use this tag known as img or image. So I hope we were clear until now. Very soon we will be talking about what are attributes. Now attributes are special features of tags. But before we talk about attributes, you need to actually learn how to set up an environment for writing HTML, right? So that was basically the main motive behind this video. So how to set up a web developmental environment. So there are mainly two very famous text editors that all of us around the globe use predominantly. These are VS Code and Atom. Most of us also use another text editor known as Sublime, and many of us also don't install a text editor onto our system, and instead we go to codepen.io, which is an online text editor. Also, if you are lazy and you don't really want a lot of help from these third-party text editors, you can also use Notepad, right? So let us proceed. In the video sessions, we are going to be working with VS Code. So let us proceed on how to download VS Code. So first of all, let me just exit this temporarily. I'm just discarding my ink annotations. So let's just go to google.com, and here I'm going to open download code.visualstudio.com. Okay, /download. So here you can see it's free and built on open source integrated debugging with extended software. It is available for Windows version 7, 8 and 10, Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat, Fedora, and as well as for Mac OS. So you just have to know what sort of download is going to suit your system, whether your system is 64-bit, 32-bit, whether it's based on Linux, whether it's based on Mac, and so on. And you just need to click on the particular one that you want to download. Now, since I already have VS Code on my system, I am not going to be downloading it again. I'm simply going to open this PowerPoint presentation and going to show you what it is like. So once you download VS Code, it is going to appear in a small zipped folder on the bottom left corner of your page. And then when you click on it, this wizard setup Visual Studio Code appears. Now all you have to do while you are installing something is keep on clicking next. Okay, because usually if you're downloading from an authentic website, they are not going to harm your system. So welcome to Visual Studio Code setup wizard. Click on next. Then it asks you to select a destination location. I always tend to leave it to the system to decide where they want to position this newly installed application. And then we click on next. Okay. So how to set up VS Code? The next steps that follow are startup menu folder. So this is where it stores the particular application in the start menu, followed by additional tasks folder, and we just simply click next because we don't really want to waste our minds thinking about that. And finally, when we click on install, we would see it installing onto our system. So let's just see what it would be like if we finally install VS Code. So I'm just going to go and click on Visual Studio Code. Okay, so I have many documents open over here. So I have many folders on my desktop. So I'm just going to click a folder known as web development. If you don't have a folder called web development, please create it on your desktop right now. If you don't know how to create a folder, just click on right click new folder. Alright, so inside this folder web development, I am going to create another small folder. So in order to create a small folder, we're going to be clicking the second option right here called new folder. And I'm going to be naming it module 1. Enter. So inside this folder called web development, I have another folder created called module 1. Now I'm going to create a file inside module 1. So now I have clicked on module 1, and now I'm going to click on the first option right over here called new file. And now I'm going to be creating a new file. Now usually the first page that you're going to be working on is going to be called index.html. So I'm going to click on module 1, and I'm going to click on this first option over here called new file, and I'm going to be naming it index.html. Unless you save it with the extension .html, your text editor won't know that you are actually storing a file that needs to be viewed on a web browser. So please remember, no matter what you name your file, do not refrain from naming it with the extension .html or .html. All right. So now I'm just going to click enter, and now you can see the setup for our web development has been done. This is how you're going to create a setup for web development. So I hope I was able to make myself very clear in this module. In the next modules, we are going to be talking about a lot more about the structure of HTML documents, how to create our first web page would also be done in just the next video. So please stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot. Thank you.